Alright, so you want to know if this new Xbox is worth buying after 6 months of me owning it. After waiting 6 hours in the rain to finally get one of these bad boys at Target, I can finally tell you guys just what I like and I don't like about it. So these are my thoughts on the Xbox Series X 6 months later. I won't hold you guys too long, let's get into this.
Slay.
Now alright man, I ain't gonna lie. It's really good. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share button. And I'll see your ugly, sexy face later. This has been your President Q. We out. Alright, so part 1. How does it feel? Well, as you can see, this mofo is thick as a brick. You know how when they show up all those specs and all those numbers and the SSDs and the fans and the vents and all that? Yeah, makes sense to why this thing's so heavy. It's all in here. But I'll be completely honest with you, it doesn't really matter. I mean, a lot of my setup is big and black, so this is big and black and it goes perfect with my setup, you know what I mean? The rectangular prism design is pretty simple, but you gotta also understand they made it because it's easy on the eyes, especially with the matte black. Honestly, when I come home from work and I turn on the game, I rarely notice it. Even on like a good gaming session on the weekend, I don't really notice it that often. So when it comes to being in my setup, it just blends in. So I'm not gonna lie, the Xbox Series X, you can quote this, is the fastest console I've ever played in my life. I've never seen something so thick, so fast. I'm talking loading screens, switching games, transitioning menus, everything, bro. Which, by the way, on this generation they have this feature called Quick Resume, which was kind of on the last generation, but not really. And basically you can switch to a bunch of different games and they start off right where you left off at, which really comes in handy if you're a single player gamer. Like for instance, if I get home and I hop online and I see none of my friends are playing, I can just hop right into a game and go back to where I left off of. When I say this, I mean like starting my console up and getting into the game takes less than 10 seconds. And then let's say while I'm in the middle of playing it, all my friends hop on. Well, I invite them to a party and I hop into the game, and that takes about maybe 20 seconds at most. And one thing that does low-key piss me off, but I mean it's not the Xbox's fault really, is that when I do play backwards compatible games and older games, you know how they have those load screens with the text and all that stuff on there? It loads so fast I never really even get to see the guide on the load screen. Like, what's the point? Like, I'm starting to think in this generation we just need to be like NBA 2K and get rid of load screens. And when you think about it and even just do the math in your head, you start to realize, man, I'm possibly saving months of my life, weeks of my life back by not sitting there watching load screens all day. It's a lot less time waiting around and way more time actually playing. My girl gets mad because on her Xbox Series S, she tries to play Red Dead online and it takes her, oh my god, 20 seconds to load in. Like, this girl doesn't understand. I came from the Skyrim Xbox 360 era. Y'all know what I'm talking about. We was rotating those items in that menu for a good hour. So are you guys enjoying my thoughts on the Xbox Series X so far? I'm trying to be as unbiased and to the point as I possibly can. So go ahead and hit that like button if you guys are enjoying it so far. Also, don't forget to subscribe to your boy. And if you want, check out my Twitch. I stream every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So I'm gonna be straight up and bluntly honest, this thing needs way more exclusives. Like seriously, the only exclusive we have is Medium. And don't get me wrong, Medium's a good game, but come on bro, PS5 and Nintendo, they whooping y'all's butt when it comes to exclusives. Hopefully within the next year or two, it'll look a little bit different. But for now, 6 months in, I'm just shaking my head. Like, let's say theoretically you only play exclusive games. Well, don't even bother looking into the Xbox Series X Direct. And when it comes to how the games actually play, don't look at me when it comes to frame rate, because I have no idea how to even look at that stuff, nor do I really even care about frame rate, really. I mean, my games run at 1080 60, mainly because my Elgato's a little bit old, so I can only handle 1080p, so I can't play at 4K 60. But at 1080 60, it runs, I mean, it's smooth, I guess. I mean, I don't really know. One thing I do know is that Xbox has been making a great effort to upgrade some of the backwards compatible games, upgrade them to 60 frames, even 120 frames per second, I believe they're working on. And also adding an auto HDR feature, which basically boosts the high dynamic range. If I want to keep it basic for you, it's adding more saturation, contrast, and a little bit of sharpness. So basically the games look prettier on the Xbox Series X than they would have on the original console. If you're not a content creator, run this Xbox at 4K. or 8K if you have that. It looks freaking amazing. I miss it already. And I guess we can talk about this thing right here. This right here. I got my sticks modified on it, so I don't really use the stock Xbox sticks, so I can't really comment on that. But the buttons are nice and soft. Can take a lot of spamming, you know what I'm saying? The Xbox buttons, just like usual. The triggers have a little bit of like a texture on them to, I guess, help you just feel a little bit more comfortable, you know, after long sessions. The D-pad is more rounded out, which is useful for any kind of game that you play. And of course, they added the share button, which, I mean, honestly, I have the biggest gripe with that because I accidentally pressed that thing like way too often. And another thing I do have to complain about, which is not really game related, but it is accessories related, is that Xbox Series X is Bluetooth compatible, I believe 3.0, but it doesn't support any other Bluetooth headsets really, unless it's like under the Xbox brand. You know, they came out with the Xbox wireless headset. Well, yeah, that works for this, but let's say you want to use your Beats, you can't use that stuff, which is kind of annoying. I mean, you know, any kind of Bluetooth should work in this day and age. It's 2021, but I get why they're doing it. It's a business decision at the end of the day. They want you to buy their $100 headset, which isn't bad price for a wireless headset. So, you know, I get it. But all in all, I don't really have any big complaints when it comes to the game. So this is where the Xbox handedly separates itself from the rest of the competition. You may think I'm capping, but bro, there ain't no cap in this rap. I've gotten so many games from the Game Pass that I either will have never played or never bought, or bought on sale on the Game Pass and ended up spending money on it. And it's ridiculous how many times I've done that in this past year. Like, I don't think people truly grasp the value of what's in the library of the Game Pass, and it's only $10, bruh. Honestly, this thing right here makes the whole console completely worth it. Especially if you share a console with somebody or some people, or you game share, it's completely worth it. Like, let me tell you a little bit of my background. As a kid, I could never really afford more than like maybe 3 games a year. If I really begged my parents, they would get me a game, and maybe I would have like 4 games in a year. So I never really got to experience a bunch of games. So I finally get to the Game Pass and see this huge library of not just good games, but great games. You value that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? All my poor and unprivileged people, shout out. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And let me straighten out the facts. These aren't just trash games on the Game Pass. We're talking about EA has joined the pack. We're talking about AAA games. We're talking about brand new releases. We're talking about backwards compatible games that go all the way back to the first generation. You can play through every single generation. You can play through a whole series all the way through. And I'd be disingenuous if I told you that this doesn't make you even less incentivized to buy the PlayStation 5. It's a whole nother $500 console. The PlayStation Now is just, it's poop compared to the Game Pass. And for somebody like me, I'm really only gonna play Uncharted and Spider-Man. At some point, if you're not rich, you gotta look at the two consoles and you gotta be like, okay bro, I'm getting way more value out of this. What are you doing, PlayStation? Come on now. Especially the fact that they're charging $70 for the new games. Excuse me? And I'm not trying to start no arguments or nothing, but you got one console going the more expensive direction. You got the other one that's trying to save your wallet. As a cheap consumer, I'm always gonna go for the more consumer-friendly option, and that's just facts. All in all, this console is catered to people with short attention spans, low patience, people who missed out on the best Xbox game series out there. Is series is a word? Series? Whatever. They love multiplayer games, or people who just want to save money or plain out don't care about exclusives. I also want to throw in, if you're a family guy, you know, if you got like kids that like to play and you want to give them some games and you don't want to go out there and spend money on all the games, you could just get Game Pass and they get to play all that stuff. It's worth it, bro. You ever had that person where you were like, you're kind of cute, but then like the more time you spend with them, you start growing harder and harder in love with them? You know what I'm talking about. That's what I feel like with this Xbox Series X. You know, I'm just telling you, when it comes to that Game Pass, it's spooky hours for the rest of the consoles, and a lot of people who have been paying attention, we know it too. Let's just hope it doesn't become a monopoly, because nobody wants a monopoly. But yeah, even if you've never been an Xbox fan, you should seriously consider this, because it might save you a lot of money in the long term. But all in all, this is my final standpoint. If you don't have it, there's no rush to really get any of the next gen consoles right now, but I will say within the next year you do want one. And if you have the money, go ahead and get it as soon as possible. If you don't have the money, chill until around next summer. I think that's about the most opportune time you're gonna be able to get one, because these scalpers are running wild, and we're probably gonna have to wait for the legislation to get in place for them to actually fix all this stuff so people can actually get the consoles in their hands. But let me know what you guys think down below. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitch, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button if you guys enjoyed, and come back for some more. Also, please don't start a console war down below. You know that's just gonna piss me off. But alright, I'll hit you guys up later. This has been your President Q, and we heading out. Peace!